Hey everybody, Dennis Storm here. Welcome back to Whole True Apologetics, where we seek answers to tough questions. And since Easter's coming up, I thought it was fitting to deal with and wrestle with questions relating to the person of Jesus. And today we're dealing with the question or the objection, isn't Jesus just a copycat? Doesn't he just fall in line with all these other stories and myths of these dying and rising gods? Well, we're going to be dealing with that in two ways. We're first looking at mystery religions in Christianity and asking, are they similar in nature? And then we're going to be looking, why can't Christianity be a copycat? Before we dig into this, if you want to know more and more detail about this specific question, I encourage you to check out Josh and Sean McDowell's book, Evidence Demands a Verdict. They go more in detail about this. So let's dig into this. So mystery religions versus Christianity, are they related? Before we dig more into mystery religions, we got to understand our knowledge of what they believe is very limited. It's very limited, but what we know, we can get a couple things from it, all right? So I'm going to point out three things about them. First, about mystery religions, ancient mystery religions, the first thing is that they had secret ceremonies. They had secret ceremonies, like these elect few really kind of knew what was going on. They did everything in secret. It wasn't public, it wasn't known, it was private. Now, compare that to Christianity. Christianity is very public. Very public from the moment it began. It was public. They were declaring what they believed. They're declaring what Christianity was. And that's why the disciples, the first followers of Jesus, majority of them were actually killed for what they believed because they made it very public what they believed. All right, so on this first point, one is private, one is public. They do not connect at all. They're not similar. The second is, in these mystery religions, their doctrine was not important, wasn't held as important. All right, they were more concerned about the experience of the people there. They're more experienced about the experience, the ambiance of what's going on. Well, compare that to Christianity. Doctrine, right doctrine, is central to Christianity. Just for example, Paul, author of many of the books in the New Testament, he many times wrote and not just encouraged, but challenged the other Christians to hold true to doctrine, true doctrine, and not be led astray by false doctrine. It's all throughout many of his letters. So we see central to Christianity is true and right doctrine. True and right doctrine. So we see, right, again, on the second point, these are not similar, mystery religion and Christianity. On the third point, the mystery religions, they held to the cyclical view of history, where it's like this repetitive, just circular history. So we got this dying and rising gods that are actually connected to the seasons. N.T. Wright, an New Testament scholar, concluded that the deaths and resurrections of these mystery gods were actually just metaphorical and reflecting the changing seasons and were not based in history. All right? It was not historically based. Now compare that to Christianity, which Christianity is based strictly on a historical event. The life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. So we just see in these 3 points that the mystery religions and Christianity are not similar at all in nature. Now we're going to be looking, why can't Christianity be a copycat? Well, Gary Habermas, who's also a New Testament scholar, amazing man, he stated this on a lecture on resurrection. He said, there is no cases of crucifixion of a crucified and risen Savior figure before Jesus, mystical or otherwise. He's saying there's no occasion. And this goes into my first point, why Christianity can't be a copycat. Well, Jesus' resurrection isn't just a copycat. The first is the dating. What I mean by that, the dates of these mystery religions of what we have, the dates are actually dated after Christianity. They post-date Christianity, which makes the argument that Christianity stole from them impossible to defend. And actually many scholars believe that the Christianity was the one that influenced them, not the other way around. So the dating is actually dated after Christianity. The second is the events, as I've already mentioned, the events of the resurrection, the life, death, the resurrection of Jesus are based on as a historical event with a historical person. The stories of Osiris or Horus are not historical people and not based in historical events, but as I pointed out earlier, are based on seasons and telling about the seasons of the times. And let me just give you one specific person, Mithra. Mithra is this mystical character that often people compare to Jesus. And it's stated that Mithra was born of a virgin, had 12 disciples, did miracles, died, and was resurrected 3 days later. However, these facts are not facts. These facts are not facts, for there are 3 different versions of the Mithra story, and also they're all fragmented. And one of them, Mithra comes from a rock, is born out of a rock. Another one is born or come about just as a full-grown human. There's no point that Mithra has ever had 12 disciples, and in no version is he ever resurrected. And so we see that there's no comparison between Jesus and this mystical Mithra. All right, the third thing I want to point out is that these disciples, why Christianity can't be a copycat, because these disciples, the followers, new Christians, would never have borrowed from pagan religions. They hated pagan religions. They wanted nothing to do with pagan religions. So saying that they just borrowed ideas from pagan religions to start something new is not historically based. It makes no sense. And the fourth reason is Jesus' death was unique. Jesus' death was unique. It's nothing like these dying and rising gods that are just directly connected to seasons. Jesus' death was historical, and also Jesus' death was sacrificial, it was voluntary, it was for sins, it was once, and it was historically based. In fact, Jesus' death didn't end in defeat, but actually it ended with victory because he rose again 3 days later. So what do we see here? We see that Jesus' life and death and resurrection are not a copycat of some ancient mystery religion. Jesus is based on historical events. Christianity is based on historical events of a historical person that got crucified and rose again. Jesus does not stand in a long line of these dying and rising gods, rather he stands alone. All right, so I hope to see you guys next week as we dig more into objections and questions surrounding the person of Jesus. Remember, like, subscribe, share this video, and I'll see you guys next week.